All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming now is a man who could very well be the longest-running chairman for the Republican National Convention in history. That's how good he is. Hailing from his home state of Wisconsin, he is credited with helping to bring nationally known figures such as Speaker of the House Paul Ryan and Governor of Wisconsin Scott Walker into power on the state level and into prominence on the national stage. And after the 2016 Republican primary season, I think he should be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome RNC Chairman Reince Priebus.
Well, hello and thank you, everybody. It's an honor to be here. It's inspiring to be with all of you today. So many patriots this afternoon that want to change the course that we're on in this country, on a failed presidency, take back our country for freedom and American values. I want to thank like so many people up here, not just all of the sponsors up here, but one person in particular who's been very good to me, and that's Tony Perkins. He's been a good friend. So many folks that you hear from. You'd love to know that we get together often, share stories. Ken Blackwell, Tony Perkins, so many folks that you're going to hear from. But we hold each other accountable. I'm also here as a teammate. I'm here to honor God every day that I can, every ounce of energy that I have. Ultimately, I want to make you proud of our party too, but it really starts with God and being the salt and light in the things that we say and the actions that we take. You're all on that front line to fight for the soul of our nation, and it's my privilege to be with you all today. So many people have said it already. We're here right now, 60 days out from Election Day. We're actually poised, in spite of what the media wants to tell you, we are poised to win back the White House, preserve our majorities in the House and the Senate, and ensure that we protect the Supreme Court from liberal activist judges. Just a few weeks ago, the media was writing off Donald Trump. But now he's closed the gap with Hillary Clinton. It's a neck-and-neck race, and make no mistake, Donald Trump is ready to win. And momentum's on his side, and the electorate's on his side. It's a change electorate. You actually saw it on both sides of the aisle. No one here thinks that Hillary Clinton is the change candidate. It's Donald Trump and the Republican Party and all of you that are listening to the grassroots voices from across this country. He's brought millions of new voters into the GOP who are concerned about their country. 14.5 million votes, the most any Republican has ever won in the history of Republican primaries. He knows that Americans have had enough of a government which plays by its own rules. Enough of a president who talks down to the American people about their guns and their religion. Enough of a Democrat nominee who lives above the law and thinks holding public office is a get-rich-quick strategy. The Democratic Party running Hillary Clinton, even though it wasn't that long ago, it's not even the Democrat Party of 1992, 96, or even 2000. This is a party racing to adopt Bernie Sanders' wish list of socialist policies. Donald Trump is standing in the breach to make sure that that doesn't happen. He's fighting for middle-class families who love America and want to see prosperity come back to our country. He's calling radical Islamic terror for what it is, and he's committed to uprooting and punishing terrorists wherever they may be found. Christians, Jews, and other religious minorities are getting slaughtered across the Middle East. And Donald Trump is going to stand up for them and other persecuted people suffering under ISIS's reign of terror. He's going to restore the special relationship and friendship between the United States and Israel, which President Obama has damaged. He understands that a strong American-Israeli relationship is an asset to our national security, not a liability. And make no mistake, Donald Trump and Mike Pence understand that religious liberty is a cornerstone of freedom that our nation has held dear for as long as we've been around. And he, Donald Trump, and Mike Pence will defend that principle at all levels. People of faith don't leave their religion in the church pews. We live it out wherever we are. The left is launching an assault on our culture and wants to strip God out of the public square. Our nation's religious heritage has helped make us what we are today. No American with religious convictions will have to bow at the altar of secularism if Donald Trump is president. And if you need any more motivation for why we need to elect Donald Trump, let me give you 2 words: Supreme Court. I'm sure everyone here has mourned the loss of Justice Scalia, who was a great jurist and an even better man. He was a great friend of the Constitution and our conservative movement. The best way to honor his legacy is to make sure a like-minded person fills his seat on the Supreme Court. Hillary Clinton, how many people think Hillary Clinton is going to be that person? Hillary Clinton is going to appoint, if she gets her chance, as many left-wing justices as she can to the Supreme Court and federal courts across this country. A Clinton Supreme Court will be entrenched for a generation and will reshape our country as we know it. We're not talking about the next 4 years. We're talking about the next 40. Her justices will treat the Constitution as a suggestion at best and a doormat at worst. We know she's going to side with the left in the fight for religious liberty. Any business owner of faith or any teacher in a faith-based school could find themselves in court just like Hobby Lobby did. It's not fantasy, merely for exercising their rights in the same way Americans have done for centuries. She despises the Second Amendment rights and wants to overturn the Supreme Court's Heller decision, which reaffirmed the simple right of Americans to have a firearm in their own home. And she's an extremist. She's an extremist in her support for late-term and partial birth abortion. Planned Parenthood is out there working overtime to bankroll her campaign, and we have to stop her. Now, we know that during her tenure, the State Department became a revolving door for Democrat lobbyists and insiders. She lied to the victims of the Benghazi attacks that an internet video was behind their deaths, and she's been lying to the American people for 18 months about how she recklessly mishandled our nation's most precious secrets and endangered our national security. I've got 2 young kids. I'm sure a lot of you have kids too. It worries me to think about the kind of country that my kids and all of your kids could be growing up in if President Hillary Clinton remakes the Supreme Court in her left-wing image. Donald Trump has promised to appoint conservative justices whose judicial compass is the Constitution. He's going to protect our rights that are at the crosshairs. They're at the crosshairs of these liberal secularists. And he's taking a conservative position on more than just the Supreme Court. He's going to work with our Republican Congress to restore accountable government and be a champion for traditional values. the Republican Party is standing up for your church and your children. Over the summer, the Platform Committee once again clearly reaffirmed what we believe in. We had 112 delegates drafting a document that takes into account Republican voices from every state and every territory. Compare that to the Democrats, who have handpicked 15 people huddling behind closed doors, not on television for you to watch, writing their platform because they know their agenda is far too extreme if the American people actually read it. And if you liked the 2012 platform, which people thought was one of the most conservative platforms we've ever had, well, you're really going to like the 2016 platform. Thanks to delegates like Tony Perkins, we've been able to uphold conservative principles which our country needs, protecting the life of the unborn, standing up for traditional marriage, declaring the importance of the two-parent family for the health and happiness of our children, defending our citizens' constitutionally protected right to worship according to their conscience, whether that's in their churches, their homes, and yes, even their businesses, making sure chaplains can do their jobs on military bases. I want you to know that our party is standing up for these freedoms, which the Obama administration now has spent years trampling. If Hillary Clinton is president, you know she's going to do the same thing. There's no way an individual who has this little regard for protecting our rights should get near the White House. The book of Romans urges us to abhor what is evil and hold fast to what is good. And I want you to know I take that call seriously. We want to rebuild our inner cities, which have languished under decades of Democrat rule. We want to make sure every child has a good education. The Democrats want schools controlled by teachers' unions and want to fill our kids' heads with left-wing propaganda. Republicans believe in the right of every child to get a good education, regardless of what zip code they live in. We want school choice. We know that the classroom is not an assembly line, and kids shouldn't be brainwashed by liberals when they go to school. We want to honor the fact that all men and women are made in the image of God and stop the global trade in human trafficking. Our party wants to do good and seek justice for all Americans because we believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's why we spent the last 4 years building a nationwide ground game and have over 1,000 paid staffers in battleground states right now, bigger than we've ever had ever in the history of the RNC. That's why we started our Republican Leadership Initiative to train the next generation of Republican leaders who want to make a difference in their communities, no matter where they call home. And that's why we hired a new staff to restart a dialogue with communities we hadn't seen in a long time, and held listening sessions with businesses and community leaders around the country to find out their concerns and priorities for all voters in every community. We have recommitted our party to being the party of the open door because we want everyone to experience the blessings of liberty. The Declaration of Independence makes it clear all men are endowed with God-given rights, and it is our duty to preserve those promises for the next generation. If we don't do this, who will? At the end of the day, the stakes couldn't be higher in this election. We've got a choice to make. Either big government keeps holding the reins of power, or we take back the freedoms which have made America the greatest nation on earth. The founders, our founders of this country, knew how important the values of people, the people in this room, those values we share We share the values of the American experiment in democracy. The people in this room share those values. John Adams said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." George Washington said, "It is substantially true that virtue or morality is a necessary spring of popular government." We don't believe what we believe just for the heck of it. We believe in the laws of God because they are true and they are necessary for a free and thriving American republic. A moral people is one of the wellsprings of liberty. One of my favorite passages, and I may have shared this with you all in years past, one of my favorite chapters in the Bible is Isaiah chapter 6. And I'm sort of fascinated with this chapter. And I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but I think you understand where I'm going. It's the year King Uzziah died. And it was when Isaiah looked up into heaven and he saw God on the throne. And you remember that passage. It was so powerful and so amazing that he fell to the ground just by the sight of it. And he heard out a voice, and the voice from God said, "Whom shall I send?" And without knowing the mission, out of obedience, Isaiah said, "Here am I, send me." We have such an enormous opportunity in front of us. We're in a battle for freedom in this country. Do you believe that? We're in a battle of freedom, the same battle that founded this country. It's the same battle that James Madison reaffirmed in the Bill of Rights. It's the same battle that founded our party in 1854. And here we are today. It's a battle for freedom. I don't know, have any of you been to the, I'm sure you've, now that you're here, but I'm sure a lot of you have been to the World War II Memorial? Anybody? It's a story I like to tell because it brings it all together. I went there with my son, and like a lot of memorials, you get out of it what you're willing to put into it. You know what I mean. You go there, and you see all those quotes from Nimitz and Eisenhower and all these incredible heroes from that time. And you walk up to this place on the wall, those thousands and thousands of golden stars. And I was there with my little guy, and you start to figure it out. That for every one of those golden stars, 100 little guys didn't come home to mom and dad. And you parents out there know that obviously you can never put yourself, because you can't ever know what that's like, to put yourself in the shoes of a parent that goes through something like that. And I'm not suggesting that. But you know that little moment sometimes when you think about your kids, and if they're older, when they were little, and you wondered, I wonder what it'd be like if Jack didn't come home to mom and dad. And it kind of, you get that moment, and it just kind of hits you. And then you look in front of those golden stars in gold on the black granite, and it says, "Here we mark the price of freedom." We are in a battle for freedom in this country. We have a choice to make in this election. This is our moment to seize the opportunity before us. Let's lock arms together and do what we can together to help elect Donald Trump, President of the United States, and take back our country. Let's do it together. Thank you. God bless you. And let's make America great together. God bless. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.